Man, welcome to the Morning Hustle. Is a consummate hustler. You can see him in all types of jobs. Whether you're waking up to catch him on the first take, whether you're catching Stephen A's World or ESPN, or maybe you catching him, guest hosting for Jimmy Kimmel. This man can do it all, and he hanging out with us right now. One time for Stephen A. Smith. What up, G?
Woo!
Hey, how y'all doing? How's everything, man?
We're great. How do you find the time and energy to do it all, man? It's an ill balancing act you got going on over here.
Well, I mean, you got to love what you do. And I think the key to success is work not feeling like work. A lot of times when people sit up there and they do stuff like, they get a job, I often make note of the fact that, there's a difference between a job and a career. A job is doing what you have to do to sustain or elevate your quality of life. A career is doing what you want to do, and it just so happens to do those things. And so I've been blessed and fortunate to have a career where I love what I'm doing, and I'm not punching the clock, and I'm not looking at that clock saying, damn, I got an hour to go. Damn, I got 30
Right.
minutes to go. Anything like that. I'm just doing it. And before you know it, the days come, the weeks come, the months and years go by, and you're still doing it.
Well, it seems as though you talk about the headlines, but you're also constantly in the headlines with rumors, all kind of different things.
Right.
So the most recent thing we've been hearing about is First Take, and we know that Max is supposedly leaving. That's a rumor that's going on. Supposedly you two don't really, well, you don't really like him, is what the rumor is out there, but y'all work together. Sometimes that's what happens. Is he
Mhm.
really leaving the show?
Well, first of all, I'm not at liberty to discuss whether he's leaving or staying because ESPN is handling that on their end. What I will
Okay.
tell you on a personal level is that those reports about me disliking Max are an absolute lie. I actually got a lot of love for the guy. I think that he's incredibly smart, he's intelligent, and what have you. Any issues that we've had pertaining to the actual debate show per se, it's some of the things that I've been very public about as well as he is. He has a way of doing things. I have another way. He equivocates a lot. Obviously, he's very, very intellectual, and he wants to show you how knowledgeable he is, which is a strategy that a lot of people use in the debate format. I'm the kind of person I don't give a damn. Here's where I stand. This is the reason why. Deal with how I feel. That's me. And so
Right.
as a result of that, sometimes that appears a bit combustible, and you get that. But I can assure you, if he stays on the show, so be it. If he departs, it'll be because they have other things that they want him to do, that he's more than qualified to do on an elevated level. And, if he stays, he stays. If he goes, I wish him nothing but the best. You don't work with somebody for 5 years and never have any differences. But our differences were strictly as it pertained to a particular debate item that we may have tackled or whatever the case may be. He's a really good guy. He's always been a good guy. I'll always recognize him as being a good guy, and whether he works with me or not, I'll always be there for him if he needs me.
That's good. Now, Stephen A. Smith, there's a lot of people who are now entering the commentating space, and you've been doing this at a high level for a long time. They saw Snoop do the Triller event. They're like, yo, let Snoop do everything. Even Leslie Jones be getting it off on the Twitter when she was commenting on the sidelines,
She's
on the
hilarious.
Olympics.
She's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Is
She's
there,
hilarious. I
you,
love Leslie Jones. Right.
do you see a way to merge the two skill sets? Because like from what you do from a serious side, and even bringing somebody in like a Snoop or a Leslie Jones to be like a permanent, guest host on one of these different franchises that you tap into.
It's interesting that you asked that question because I'm not one of those people that believe folks should be limited, and I think that's one of the reasons why people don't trust journalism as much as they should, or at least as much as they used to, y'all. Because you got a lot of people walking around acting like they're inhuman. Like, excuse me, everything is objective. I have no feelings about anything. Well, who the hell's gonna believe that? Of course you have. There's a level of, you might be objective in pursuit of the truth, but very subjective in what you choose to convey and what you choose to keep quiet. It all depends. Sometimes it depends on your professional obligations, and other times it depends on where your preference lies. And so for me, when you see somebody like Snoop coming in, Snoop is a hip hop mogul. We know what he brings to the game. I mean, we know who his name is. What's my name? You know what I'm saying? It's
Mhm.
Snoop Dogg. I mean, we know who he is. But the level of versatility that this brother has. First of all, people don't realize how knowledgeable he is about football.
Right.
He loves his Lakers on the basketball side. but he's a sports fan. And so for me, I know that, when it comes to, what my aspirations are. For example, you brought up I was going to be guest hosting Jimmy Kimmel this Monday night. It's a really big deal to me because Arsenio Hall is the only African American we've had in late night television. I want to
Facts.
be that guy. If I'm talented enough, they have to be the judge of that, and whether I'm talented enough to do it or not. Do I believe I am? Yes, even though I've never done an opening monologue in my life. So I'm scared as hell over that. Like, how the hell am I going to make people laugh for 12 to 14
Are
minutes?
you
Still not
writing your
that
own
scared with it.
monologue, or you got somebody coming
No, no.
independent for you?
Well, they're going to come in and help me because I've never done it before, but only because I've never done it before. And you always need assistance or whatever. But what I'm saying to you is that sports related, I can walk in off the cuff and talk for an hour. No
Mm-hmm.
notes, no anything, because I got it down pat. When you're doing an opening monologue for Jimmy Kimmel's show, I'm told it's a comedy show. I'm supposed to walk in there and somehow over the course of the first 12, 14 minutes make you laugh. I'm nervous as hell. I don't know if I can pull that off. We're about to find that out. But outside of that, if you take away that element, everything else about a late night show is what I want to do. You're interviewing folks and celebrating the great things that they're doing in their chosen profession and what they're doing for the community at large. And when it comes to us, there's so many brothers and sisters that are doing so many great things. And I want people to look at me with my journalistic background and recognize that I'm somebody that wants to shine a light on the great positive things that they do. Because believe it or not, that's the hardest part about covering sports. See, covering sports, I got to call it like I see it. You drop 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 or you wreaking havoc, I got to give you your love. You stinking up the joint, I got to let you know that too. But but outside of that, think about it, world entertainment, I gotta worry about that. Because what one person love, another person might not like, but it's up to their subjective stuff. Me, I would just be playing the role of celebrating all the great things that all of y'all and everybody else in between is doing. And that's why I want to do late night. I want to bring that to the table.
I think that's going to be so great for y'all. Also, seeing you maybe guest hosting on, well, appearing on Blackish as well. Are we going to see you
Yes.
doing more acting?
Yes, yes. I don't pursue it. When they call, I come. I have a recurring role on the soap opera General Hospital. My name is Brick. I'm a surveillance expert for the mob. I've been doing that for 4 years. I just showed up one day because they asked me to show up. I did one scene. The executive producer came running downstairs saying, "Do you have time to do this? We want to create this role for you. We didn't realize you were going to be this good." And they've had me on for 4 years and counting. I actually love acting, and I've never pursued it. I've never studied for it. I've never been interested in it until I actually did it. And then doing it, what I learned to appreciate about it is that your role, you could be anything the role requires, and you don't necessarily get judged for it. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? I mean, think
Right.
about the
Yeah.
roles people play. You could be volatile, you could be loud, you could be quiet, you could be demure, you could do a lot of different things. And it's the role that you're playing. And so for me, I love that. I love that the kind of things that I imagine myself being. Like me, I would want to be a bad guy. Like I'd want to be the head of the mob. I'd want to be, I'd want to be a boss that's just a no good SOB. I like playing those roles too, but then showing the nicer side as well. I just love the versatility, but I will be doing more acting to answer your
I'm
question. If
sorry,
they
but
call, they call.
sometimes you seem like the bad guy in real life, according to some
Yes,
people, the way that they want
yes,
to cancel you every other week. How do
yes.
you avoid, because you're so opinionated, how do you avoid getting canceled, opposed to other people like Jamel Hill, who has given her opinion before and has gotten fired behind it?
Well, you got to know the third rails and what to avoid. And I'm very, ESPN knows how upset I was that she's gone because I think she's one of the more talented individuals in our industry. She's a friend, she's somebody. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not talking about you two directly, but I think a lot of people outside the sports world has really sold her short. And sometimes I get upset thinking about her because I think that in certain respects, she sold herself short in certain respects. And what I mean by that is when you get caught up in giving your opinion and expressing yourself about certain issues, whether they believe be political or social issues, yeah, people gravitate and they like, way to go, way to go, way to go. But they're not thinking about your career and all that you have to offer. And even though I know she's still doing her thing and I'm so proud of her with all the things that she's doing, I also know the platform that she had. I also know the platform that she's capable of still having and how much larger she can be. This is a lady that, at one time, she said a few things that, whether it was about the former president or it was about Jerry Jones, and people speculated, that got her in trouble, that got her in trouble. I never paid attention to that. What I did pay attention to is that particular year, she was honored by the NABJ, National Association of Black Journalism Conference in Detroit. What I took away from that was, you know how many years she deserved that award?
Yeah.
If you go back and you look at her history, she's
She put
been
the
so
work in.
exceptional, doing so many things, and she put the work in. And so when people recognize her for that, while some folks will stand up and applaud her, and others, not just her, I'm just using her as an example because you brought her
Mhm.
up, but many others, when people stand up and they applaud them, or even me for some of the things that I say, I get upset about that because that doesn't define us. The work that we've done spanning decades defines us. I have been a journalist for close to 30 years. I was living off of tuna fish and Kool-Aid in Archdale, North Carolina. I
Ain't
had
nothing wrong
5
with Kool-Aid
internships.
now. Relax.
I love it. I know I love it, but you don't live off of it. But you know what, you
Right.
know what I'm saying.
Right.
But
You get the
I had
sugars.
I had 5 internships before I got a job as a high school reporter, and I got promoted 9 times en route to ultimately becoming the general sports columnist before I ever arrived at ESPN. So there's a resume there, and I'm saying with her and with various others, there's resumes that expands decades that shows excellence. And so when somebody says, well, they associate her with Trump, or they associate me with this one comment, or they associate somebody else from our community based off of a comment or the fact that we're generating headlines, I'm like, do you know who the hell we are and what we have done? This is nothing compared to our body of work. And I just think that we need to be mindful and careful of what could potentially define us, because it can actually get in the way of our progress instead of springboarding us to new heights.
Well, yo, Stephen A, there's 2 big events that are taking place this weekend. You got all eyes on Shacari Richardson, who's running this weekend. A lot of people felt like she got a raw deal in that whole Olympic situation. There's people doing way worse and still being able to compete. You know what I'm saying? She was going through some things. How do you think that's going to work out for her this weekend? Do you think the pressure is going to excel her to be great? Or you think, they're going to hold her under too tight of a microscope and, some people collapse under that?
What I would tell you is this: we all have to stand up and support our brothers and sisters, and we usually do. What we're missing is what people are defining as support. Some people define support as you strictly being a cheerleader. I'm not one of those people. If I see you, my man, and you doing something that I think is counterproductive to what I know your career aspirations are gonna be, you know me well enough to know I'm gonna pull you to the side. Come here, man. What you doing?
Hmm.
Because this ain't gonna work for you. This is not gonna work for you. And that's what I do for all my brothers and sisters. I'm gonna sit up there. I'm not gonna tell you what you want to hear. I'm gonna tell you what works. I'm gonna tell you
Do you
what
feel
ain't
like
gonna
they should
work.
have
And I'm
sidelined
gonna
her
tell you
though from
what.
the Olympics?
Say what? Say
You
what?
feel like they should have sidelined her from the
No, I
Olympics?
don't. No, I don't. But I also know that they have rules and regulations that they have shown an unwillingness to bend, and that she
Mhm.
knew that
That's
before
true.
she did what she did. And so my point is that no, she's not wrong. And yes, we need to wrap our figurative arms around her and support her and let her know we're gonna uplift her like we would do for any of us. But you're not doing them any favors if you're telling somebody the hell with the rules, do what you feel, and we're gonna support you no matter what, because the people in positions of power are not gonna do that. And all you're going to be doing is getting cheers, but you're not going to accomplish what you were after because you didn't pay enough attention to the rules. Again, I'm not talking about her. I'm talking to all of us. We have to pay attention. I just literally just an hour ago finished doing a panel with the National Association for Black Journalists, and you had a whole bunch of kids on there listening, and everybody was like, you could do what you want to do and be your true, authentic self. I said, wait a minute now. Yeah, you need to do that. But you also need to pay attention to who's cutting the check, because they're
Mhm.
making the rules and you're asking for their money by choosing to work for them. So I would never encourage you to ignore your bosses. Now find a way to be your true authentic self while appealing to what they're looking for so you can continue to get paid and build your career and prosper. We're not going to make it in this world in terms of being successful if Our whole objective is about doing what we want to do, when we want to do it, how we want to do it, while having our hand out for somebody else's money. We have to be mindful of appeasing people in the positions of power until we get that power ourselves. Then we can do the hell we want to do. But as long as you got to work with people to get them to empower you, you've got to capitulate to some degree in terms of appeasing them, just to some degree, so you can get what you after. And that's the kind of message that I think is important for us in positions of success to disseminate. I can't stand when I see people who are successful telling folks, you can be whatever you want to be. The hell with that. They didn't do that to get to where they are. They capitulated in some capacity, but then they want to go and lie to people, want to come up and tell them you can get away with just doing what you want to do. That is a lie. We all want to do. You think I want to listen to some of the rules and regulations that ESPN have? Are you crazy? I don't want to listen to everything. There is some freedom. There's some more freedom that I wish I had on top of the freedom I already have. But they're my bosses. And if I don't want to answer to them, then I need to get my own damn network. Otherwise, I'm going to be answering to somebody in some capacity. That's just the truth. Let's stop lying to each other and let's be completely honest and open about the need to learn how to juggle appeasing them and appeasing ourselves. That's what we got to preach.
Well, speaking of answering to somebody, have you ever, which I'm sure you have, said anything that offended somebody so bad that they really tried to like pull up on you and fight you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's happened. That's happened quite a few times. I'm quite sure there's a few athletes that would love to kick my ass if they could. I
What
have no
story
doubt
stands
about
out the
that.
most, though? What story stands out
Well,
the
I mean,
most?
listen, I remember AI, Allen Iverson and I did not talk for 8 months. And I was the beat writer covering the team every day. We didn't talk for 8 months because he wanted to beat my ass because he was so ticked off at what I wrote. Another time we didn't talk for 2 years. 2 years after he had left
Wow.
the Sixers. And then we ran and then I made it a priority to see him in Atlanta. And he sat down with me and I said to him, here's all the information I had that I never said a word about. I said, I
Hmm.
have a job to do, but I'm a human being too. And there's other things that was none of my business. There's other things that could have easily been misconstrued. It could have potentially buried you, but I would never do that to you. I said, but you can't ask me while you making one mistake after another to walk by and act like you didn't make any mistakes. You see what I'm saying? Because then I'm not doing my job. And so he understood that. I remember one time I got into it with Glenn Big Dog Robinson, which is well chronicled. I'm not trying to fight no dude 6'9", 240. Okay, I know better than that. But in the same breath, I felt passionately about a coach getting fired. And then I realized, I was like, damn it, I really, really felt bad because I realized he didn't look at it that way. And more importantly, his son is in the league. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I saw his son at Golden State. I said, come here, man, I want you to know whatever beef I had with your father, I will personally squash that and accept responsibility for it. Because I don't want you thinking that I'm watching you play and I'm going to have something against you because your father, and I said, your father's a good man. He and I just had a difference of opinion about something and we let it get out of hand. So we good. Now there's a couple of people that will remain nameless. And they're only a couple. I despise their ass. I ain't gonna ever be their friend. And they ain't gonna ever be mine. And that's just the way it's going to be because, you got bullies and they always try to mess with somebody who's smaller than them. They try to intimidate. And I don't intimidate. You're not intimidating me. I'm going to do my job. And the reason why I feel adamant about it is no matter how personal I might know you and your business, I will never say anything.
Right.
Anybody who knows me knows I stick to the game. I don't get into your personal life. I don't get into your personal business. I have a cardinal rule. Just stay out of the police blotters. If it ain't in the police blotters and it's not a matter of public information, I don't need to be involved. Ain't none of
Right.
my business. You don't
Mm.
hear reporters say that, but that's how I roll.
That's
Male,
fair.
female, it don't matter who it is. I don't do it because we're all human beings. We're all flawed in our own way. And the bottom line is your personal business is your personal business, and I ain't trying to get in it. And
Hmm.
that's how I roll. And if people can't accept that, then I'm sorry because I tell them what I publicize is what you do publicly. You perform publicly in a public setting. What the hell you want me to do? T-Rock and the crew and Ricky Smiley, everybody else is like, wait a minute here. You go out there and you drop 2 points and shoot 1 for 20. What the hell you expect me to say? You had a good game? That's a problem. That's a problem. And I'm going to say
Right.
it. And that's the way it is because that's my job.
Well, yo, Stephen A. Smith, you got a lot of love for hip hop culture. Hip hop culture loves you. So on this day, right
Yes, I
now
do.
in 2021, who is Stephen A. Smith's top 5 MCs? And I'm gonna go with alive because I know a lot of times people like to throw
You say
people that are no longer
MCs.
here. Yes,
MCs,
MCs.
because I don't pay much attention to the MCs, the Kid Capri's and people like DJ Khaled and stuff like. I don't know too many of those cats like that. I can tell you my hip hop artists. I
Yeah,
give you my
rappers.
top 5
Yeah.
all time stuff like that.
All
But I ain't
right,
paying
come with
attention
your
to no
top
damn
5 artists all
DJs
the
like
time.
that.
Come
Come
on.
on, man. Well, I'm gonna put Jay-Z up there. I'm gonna put Biggie and Tupac up there. And my personal, believe it or not, one of my all-time personal preferences was LL Cool J. That's one of my all-time favorites. And anything that Dr. Dre touches, I got mad love for because I think that he is the icon. But when I think Snoop, I got to put Snoop Dogg in it. Cats like that is what I think about. Everybody used to say East Coast KRS-One, Eric B and Rakim. Of course, I'm gonna give those cats love. Run DMC, I can't leave them. I'm from Hollis, Queens.
Golden
I'm gonna
era, come
ignore
on.
Hollis, Queens. I can't do that. But when
So
you
none of the young cats.
genuinely look, they all right. They all right.
He like what he like.
But you know what it is? Is the combination of beat and the rhymes that you spit, and it gotta flow with the beat. It's when you could rap your behind off, but if you somebody that can't do it on beat, on cue, and it ain't smooth like that, I got a problem with you. I got a problem, but I'm like, okay, you can spit some lyrics. I gotta throw Eminem in there. He's one of the all-time greats. Can't forget him. But I'm like,
Still nice.
he's still nice. He's still special. But I'm like, you gotta do that when you can't. When you rapping, but it's all over the place. I ain't forget Nas either. Let's not forget him. I mean, God,
Have you
I
heard
don't even
King's
know why I
Disease
put him in
yet?
my
The
top
new
5.
album from Nas?
I listened to about 3 of the songs there. I'm gonna listen to the whole album this weekend because I gave him
Okay.
some love on my show the other day. But I'm just saying, there's so many to pick from. But I pay attention to how your lyrics flow with the beat.
Right.
If your lyrics are off beat, I hold it against you. And you could be a marvelous lyricist, but it's gotta flow with the beat. That's what resonates with me.
Now you got 3 New Yorkers here, and you're still a Knicks fan, I believe. I'm not a Knicks fan
Yes.
anymore. I gave up. I went to Brooklyn though, and I'm from Brooklyn, so I think that that's fair. And I'm a Kevin Durant fan, so I think that's fair as well.
So you went with the Nets. So you're a Nets fan.
I'm gonna go with the Nets, but I want to ask you. I know you got excited when Melo went to the Lakers. And,
Yes.
that was a big thing that was trending. Do you think the Lakers will take it all the way this year and Melo
No,
will finally get a ring?
no.
No?
I
That was
think
quick.
Brooklyn's winning the chip. I think Brooklyn's winning the chip.
Hey.
I mean, LA could beat them, but Brooklyn would be the favorites. They should be the favorites. I think Kevin Durant is the best basketball player on the planet right now.
Me too.
I really do. I think that number one. I think that Kyrie is the greatest show in basketball. He's just
Fact.
box office. This brother,
Yeah.
I mean, the things that he could do with a basketball is something to behold. We can't ignore that. I think that when you look at James Harden, he's going to come back. He's going to be electrifying. No
Even with the
question about
purse?
it. You can take it. Huh? It's going to
Even
be
with
all
the
of those
purse.
things. It's going to be all of those things together. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Even with the purse. Even with the purse. I'm sorry, I got distracted. My sister was showing me something.
It's
But
okay.
hey, listen, James Harden's a bit different, but he's a spectacular basketball player and a good brother. He's actually a good dude. So I just think that Brooklyn they're just electrifying. These 3 brothers are a special talent. And if they are healthy, I don't see anybody stopping them. Now, Russell Westbrook's on the Lakers now. I can't
Ugh,
sneeze at that.
I
All
can't
right.
stand
And
him.
LeBron is still LeBron. You know what?
Right.
I tell you this about Russell. I know he comes across as a bit, acerbic at times and stuff like that. He's actually a really, really good dude. He just don't take no mess. He just don't take no mess from nobody. And if there was one knock against him that I would tell you, and I don't say this as an insult, it's actually a compliment to him, but he just guards against it. He takes a lot of things as an insult against his character.
Ah,
And so for me, it's like, okay, wait a minute. So and I'm out of respect to him, it's incumbent upon me to monitor what I say. Like, for example, I can sit up there and say, damn it, he won't pass the ball. That's a
Yeah.
bad shot selection. No, he's good with that. He's good with that. He don't have a problem with that. What he has a problem with is that if I turn around and say, see, this is why nobody want to play with him, or people don't want to play with him. So you see what I'm saying? Because now
Yeah.
you're talking about him and his character as
Right.
opposed to him actually being on the court and simply playing the game. And when he took when he took the liberty of expressing that to me one day, it made a lot of sense. It really, really did. And I didn't realize that that's how he was interpreting it. You see what I'm saying? And so considering this brother, all the good things that he's done for the game, how he goes at it 100%. He gets on the court, he goes all out all the time, competes at a high level, never gets in any trouble,
That's
ever.
true. That's true.
Model citizen, role model. And I'm telling you, as somebody that's out here in LA just for the last few weeks, I was driving, I forget where it was, Burbank or whatever. I was like a mile and a half, about a mile and a half of car dealerships. They all said Russell Westbrook dealership. He's doing a lot of big things. And so when you look at it from that perspective and where he's from and the kind of folks that he's trying to reach and the message that he's trying to send, you see why he is how he is. It makes a lot of sense. And it made me personally step back and say, he's a guy who deserves to have his character protected. I can discuss the game of basketball while still protecting his character.
Right.
He deserves that with what he's done for the game. And I'm going to make it a priority to make sure I do that.
That's solid stuff. Now, I know you got to roll. Before we roll, we got to talk boxing real quick. There's a big fight going down this weekend. Manny Pacquiao fighting your Dennis Hughes. Last minute switch out because dude got his eye.
I don't
detached.
like
Who
it.
you think is gonna win?
Yeah. Errol Spence had his retina detached. We understand that. I thought Errol Spence would have beaten Pacquiao because I think he's just big. He's strong. He's a very powerful welterweight. He's something special to behold. He's undefeated. Although I'm very suspect on what Errol Spence is going to be because of that nasty car accident he got in, where that car flipped over multiple times. He's lucky to be alive, y'all.
Facts.
And so when I look at it from that perspective, I'm worried about what he would do if he was in a tough match, but we'll see. This guy who guys I haven't seen much of. I expect Pacquiao to win, but I hear this guy's a good boxer. And you never know on short notice how that's going to hurt you when you were preparing for a mega fight, the likes of Errol Spence Jr., and instead you got to fight somebody who's a relative unknown that you ain't necessarily that hyped about fighting. I've seen people lose fights. I've seen people get knocked out before because they walked into a fight completely disinterested and were looking to just finish the job as opposed to exercising their game plan, being disciplined, and doing the kind of things they know how to do. And they got themselves hurt because they took somebody for granted. I don't suspect that will be Pacquiao, but you never know. And that's why boxing is boxing. As Snoop says, you don't play boxing.
Mm.
Now, in a couple weeks, though, there's going to be some guys playing boxing in a celebrity match. You got Lamar Odom going up against, dude who had a title at one point in time. Riddick Bowe.
Disgraceful. That's disgraceful. I'm very upset that this fight is happening. Riddick Bowe, we don't know if he's gonna come in at 400 or 500 pounds for crying out loud, because he had weight issues when he was fighting professionally and he was younger. Imagine how big he might be now. I don't know. I haven't seen him. I hope he's okay. Really got good guy. I'm wishing him nothing but the best. But he has no business. Lamar Odom has no business in the ring with him. Lamar Odom is not a boxer. He's somebody that has never taken care of himself conditioning wise. And as you know, with anything, muscle memory matters. Riddick Bowe may be retired and all of that stuff, but once you're a boxer, you're always a boxer. You know how to fight. You see what I'm saying? To some capacity. And so for Lamar Odom to be in the ring with somebody like that, I think it's incredibly dangerous for him, particularly considering the background and issues that he's had that caused him to have to compromise his health. So you get hit upside the head by some dude like Riddick Bowe. I don't know how easily you'll recover from that, to be quite honest with you. So I'm actually very, very worried for Lamar Odom.
Oh, yo, that's real.
Lastly, I did want to mention that you are a brand ambassador for HBCU Week, which is
Yes.
amazing because I feel like, with HBCUs, it needs to be more lifted up. We need to get behind the HBCUs more as a community. Do you think it
Yeah.
is a good idea for top picks to go to HBCUs?
Well, it would bother me. I would certainly support it because I think that being surrounded by your own, looking around and seeing brothers and sisters, people that you relate to, share cultural identity and background with, that can identify with the trials and tribulations you're going to endure and experience, and ultimately have to elevate yourself from. I definitely think that's helpful, which is why I don't think I'd be where I am today if it weren't for HBCUs. That's why I go out of my way to promote it as much as I possibly can. Not to mention the fact that the late great Clarence Big House Gaines, who was my coach, that's the one thing he asked me to do. Don't forget HBCUs. Do what you can to support them, and that's why I've committed myself to doing just that. I will say to you, however, is that we have to be real about something. These big time institutions have a lot of money. They had a lot of money, have immaculate facilities. They have the television contracts. They get the notoriety, et cetera, et cetera. That plays a significant role in influencing where kids decide to go and play. HBCUs are not privileged to have those kind of coffers available to them to insulate the athletes the way that they would like to be. And so for an athlete to go to an HBCU program, I think is a great, great thing. But I also think it's incumbent on the HBCUs to step up and to see what kind of relationships they can cultivate to make sure that even if an athlete had to go across town or had to go off campus to receive the kind of treatment that they aspire to have, medical equipment, facilities, and things of that nature that will really, really, really buffer whatever concerns they may have. I think that's an important thing that HBCUs need to prioritize, because in the end, you can't expect and ask an athlete to come and play for your program and represent your program, and you don't have a snowball's chance in hell of taking care of them the way some of these other big time institutions take care of them. And that's an important thing. Like I'm Stephen A. and I'm doing what I'm doing on television. Yes, guess what, y'all? I never flew first class back in the day because I was young, I was broke, I was poor, and I was lucky to get a flight. Now you can't get me on a plane unless I'm flying first class. Ain't nothing to talk about.
Elevation.
It's a part.
Elevation,
It's a
baby.
part. It's a part of the contract. I'm
That's what
not
happened when
flying
you the
coach.
highest paid on the network.
That's
Facts.
what. Well, that's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. But I'm just saying that is the deal. This certain level of treatment. I mean, I'm not staying in a 3-star hotel. I'm not flying coach. Hell, I might not even rent a car. I might just get car service. All a part of my contract. Why? Because times have changed, and I'm
Hmm.
working at the worldwide leader. I'm not working at some rinky-dink network operation. So that's how we roll. And that's the kind of mentality that HBCUs have to have when you're hoping for these athletes to come and represent your institution. You have to position yourself to be able to take care of them. And you start by taking care of the dudes you have already and doing what you can to build those coffers so you can provide them with the facilities that they need so they ain't missing anything. And I promise you, HBCUs will become even more attractive if that happens.
There it is. Stephen A. Smith, thank you for always being a stand-up dude. Thank you for your integrity. And just keep shining, baby. Catch some more Jimmy Kimmel Live
Mm.
Monday night. And also, man, check him out on Blackish. And shout out to everything you're doing in the media space, bro.
Appreciate you, man. Keep doing the great work you've been doing.
We are the morning hustle.